guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another Ooblets one. So I really like making the little Ooblets characters. I think it's quite fun to it's sort of similar to Pokemon, but the Ooblets characters seem to be a little bit more simple to make. So yeah, I've decided today to make Dooziedug. So I've got two versions of this here. I've got the I think this is the uncommon version, and then the one that I make in the video is this one, the common version, the yellow one, and then there is a gleamy version as well that you could make, so feel free to use whatever colours you want for the Dooziedug that you want to make. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: yellow, orange and pink. You definitely won't be needing as much of the yellow as what I'm showing here. You'll need, you know, less than a quarter of this, but this is just to demonstrate, and I didn't want to cut my yarn without knowing exactly how much I'd need, so yeah, you definitely don't need this much. Then you'll be needing some scrap black yarn. This is just for adding some details to the nose. You could use black embroidery thread, or you could use felt instead, so there are alternatives for that. Then you'll be needing your crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn. If you're using a different weight of yarn, just make sure you size up or size down your hook as required. You'll be needing some safety eyes. I've got two 6mm safety eyes here with the backs as well. Again, you could embroider the eyes or add them with felt, so there's alternatives if you don't have that. Then you'll be needing some scissors, you'll need some stuffing, you'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. You'll be wanting a stitch marker. I'm just using an offcut of yarn for this. You'll be wanting a yarn needle for sewing everything together, and then finally you may want some pins to help keep things in place as you're sewing them together. We're going to start off by crocheting the head and body, which are crocheted as one piece. You're going to start with your yellow yarn, and we're going to do, for round one, we're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Okay, then just pull on that tail to close up the hole. And then for round 2 we're going to increase all the way around, so that means we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. That should get us up to 12 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so at the end of round 2 I've got my 12 single crochets now. Just going to talk you through the next few rounds now, as they're just standard increases in increments of 6 each round, and then a few rounds of single crocheting all the way around. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase and repeat that pattern 5 more times to get you up to 18 single crochets. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets. Then round 6 to 10 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you finish round 10, as we'll then add the eyes, and also we're going to start doing some decreases from round 11 onwards. I've just finished round 10 and this is what it's looking like now, so hopefully you can see the head starting to take shape. Before we move on to round 11, I am just going to place the eyes at this point, because I think it's a bit easier to do it now when you have access to the inside of the head like this. So for the eyes we're going to want to place them roughly between rounds 8 and 9 and about 3 single crochets apart. So I always like to place it opposite to wherever my round starts and ends, so I'll place them round here. I'm just going to count down so that I know which rounds I'm looking for. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, so between these 2 rounds here. And then, as I said before, 3 single crochets apart. So I'm just going to place one eye here, then count 1, 2, 3, place the other eye here, and then you can just pop the backs on the eyes as well, so just like this. Okay, so now we can move on to round 11. I'm going to start round 11 now. So for round 11 we're going to be doing some decreasing. So we need to start off by doing 3 single crochets, and I'm just going to mark my first stitch so I remember where the round started. Then we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to start off like we're doing a normal single crochet, but then we're going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So for round 11 we're just going to repeat that same pattern all the way around, so 3 single crochet decrease, and that should get you down to 24 single crochets at the end of the round, so I'll meet you when you finished that. Just finished round 11, this is what it's looking like. So I'm going to talk you through the remaining rounds until we get to the part where we need to stuff, because all of the remaining rounds are either just single crochets and then increases or decreases in each round. So for round 12 you're going to do single crochet all the way around, so 24 single crochets. Round 13, 3 single crochet increase and repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets. Round 14, 9 single crochet increase and repeat that twice more to get you up to 33 single crochets. Rounds 15 to 19, just simply single crochet all the way around. Round 20, 9 single crochet decrease and repeat twice more to get you down to 30 single crochets. Round 21, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets. Then round 22, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18. So I'll meet you at the end of round 22 as we'll then stuff the piece, and then we've just got a couple more rounds left to do. I completed round 22 and I also added the stuffing at this point as well, so just make sure that you stuff firmly once you finish round 22. Now we've just got 2 rounds left to do. So for round 23 we're going to do single crochet decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, and that's going to get us down to 12 single crochets. Okay, so that's round 23 complete. I'm actually going to add a little bit more stuffing just to top it up now, because it feels a little bit light on the stuffing. So feel free to do the same if you need to. Maybe a bit more. Okay, that should be enough now. Okay, so for the final round we're just going to decrease all the way around, which is going to get us down to 6 single crochets. I got some stuffing in my yarn, let's try that again. It's better. Okay, so that's round 24 complete, the final round. So now what you're going to do is cut your yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, and then we're going to close up this hole. So I've just grabbed my scissors, I'm going to cut the yarn, and then I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'm going to weave the tail through the front loop only of each of the final 6 single crochets. So just make sure that you pull, and hopefully you'll see that the hole has closed up. Then you can just weave your yarn tail through the hole and out to the back of the body. So this is what my Dooziedug looks like at the moment. The next thing we're going to do is crochet the nose. And sorry, forgot to show you, but I'm just going to cut this yarn tail as well. I've got my orange yarn now for the nose. For the nose, it's fairly simple, but we are going to be crocheting around a foundation chain, so I'll show you how to do that now. So we're going to start off by chaining 4. Then what we're going to do is, starting from the second chain from hook, so this chain here, or you can work into the back loops here. I'm going to work into the back loops. Doesn't make a massive difference, just slightly changes the way that it looks. What we're going to do is we're going to do 2 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in this chain, another single crochet into the next chain, and then in that final chain we're going to do an increase. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into the same chain. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue working around the other side of the foundation chain, and we're going to repeat that pattern again. So we're going to do a single crochet in the first chain, then we're going to do a single crochet in the second chain, and then we're going to do an increase in this final chain. Okay, so once you've completed that, you should have 8 single crochets now all the way around, and now we just need to do one final round. So in round 2 we're just going to single crochet all the way around, which should be 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that is the nose complete. So I'm just going to pull on this tail that I have over here just to make sure that that's secured in place. Then I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing, and just weave that yarn tail through like this. So that is our nose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to embroider the black nose detail to this using our black scrap yarn. I've got my black yarn threaded through my yarn needle, and I'm going to now just add some lines to the sort of top part of the nose, just to create that nose appearance. Okay, so something like that. Then you can just knot off your yarn tails on the inside of the nose, like that, and then trim both down, and then you can hide that on the inside of the nose when you come to sew that down. So this is now what it looks like. So now I'm going to position this on the head and then sew this down. I've just pinned the nose underneath the eyes, and now I'm going to do a whip stitch all the way around to sew this down. Okay, so this is what it looks like now with the nose sewn down. Once you've finished sewing, you can just weave your yarn tail through the head like this, and then you can just cut that. Like that. Okay, so now what we're going to move on to is making the ears. I've gone ahead and crocheted both of the ears because they're quite simple pieces and it's just repetition of what I've already shown you. So for each of the ears, you're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Then for rounds 2 to 3, simply single crochet all the way around. Then just cut your yarn and sort of flatten the pieces like this so they look like ears. And now when you've got 2 of these, we're going to sew these to the head. So I'll show you how to do that now. I've sewn one of the ears down, as you can see. So when you're positioning this, you roughly want the top of the ear to be roughly around round 8 of the head. So if I just count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so roughly the top of the ear on this round, and then a few single crochets away from the sort of center of the face and the eyes. So I think this is a good position. You can obviously pin it in place as well if you'd like to, but I'm just going to hold it in place with my hand, and I'm just going to be whip stitching all the way around. Just checking the positioning as I go. I actually think this needs to come forward a little bit, so I'm just going to show you what I would do in a real life situation. I'm just unpicking all of those stitches and I'm going to move it maybe 1 or 2 single crochets forward. So let's reposition that. Let's say here instead this time. yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks better. Now I'm just gonna whip stitch along the back as well. Okay, then just check that I'm happy with how that looks. Yep, I think that's fine. Then I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the head, and then I can cut that. If you've got any little loops that are sort of sticking out a bit like this one here, you can just use your scissors to push those in a little bit so they're less visible. And then I'm just going to cut these tails. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make the inner ear pieces for the ears, so you're going to need your pink yarn for this. I've gone ahead and made one of the inner ear pieces. As you can see, it's very small and simple, so I'm just going to do the other one with you now. So as I said before, you're going to need obviously your pink yarn, and you're going to start off by chaining 2. And then in the second chain from hook, either in this front loop or the back loop, it doesn't matter, you're just going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets into that chain. And then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And when you've got 2 of these, come back and I'll show you how to sew them to the ears. I've sewn down one of the inner ear pieces. I'm just going to do the other one with you now. So again, I'm just positioning this at the bottom of the ear, sort of in the middle, as central as I can get it. I'm not going to be using any pins for this, but again, if you feel more comfortable using pins, then feel free to do so. I'm just going to hold it in place with my finger. And I'm kind of going to be doing a mixture of whip stitching and running stitching. So I'm going to do whip stitches along the bottom, which is just these 2 whip stitches. Sorry, I've just realised you couldn't see that. And then I'm going to do more of a running stitch along the edges. Maybe one more. Like that. Then I'm just going to weave my yarn tail through the ear. And same with this smaller yarn tail as well. And then I'm going to cut both of those tails. And then use my scissors to poke that tail into the ear. Okay, so that's what my ears look like now that I've sewn down the middle ear pieces. I've gone ahead and crocheted one of the legs, so this is what it looks like. Let's do the other one together now. So you're going to need to start with your orange yarn. And for round 1, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing as what we did for round 1 of the nose. So if you remember, we did chain 4. Then starting from second chain from hook, 2 single crochets and then an increase. And then working around the other side of the foundation chain, exactly the same pattern, 2 single crochets and then an increase. Okay, so at the end of round 1 you should have 8 single crochets. For round 2 we're going to single crochet all the way around, but in the back loops only. So by this I mean this is the front loop, the one closest to us, this is the back loop, and we're just going to be crocheting in just that back loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And at the end of this round, I would suggest that you cut this yarn tail as well, just because it will get in your way otherwise. Okay, so now we're ready to do our final round in our orange colour. So for round 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets, and we're back to working in both loops as normal now, so not just the front, not just the back loops. Also, I'm just going to bring this yarn tail back inside. So that was 1, 2. Then we're going to do 2 decreases. 1, 2, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets again. 1, and in this final single crochet you're going to pull through in your yellow to change colour. Okay, so that is round 3 complete, and we're now ready to crochet around in our yellow colour. So for round 4, we're just going to single crochet all the way around, which will be 6 single crochets. And I am going to crochet over both the yellow and the orange tail in this round just to secure them in place. Okay, so that's round 4 complete. At this point I'm going to cut the yarn tails, so cut the orange yarn and also just trim that yellow tail as well. Then I'm also going to go back to the bottom here and just try and fix this bit where the tail is poking through. And now at this point, another thing that would be good to do is to add a little bit of stuffing to the foot. We're not going to stuff the leg, we're just going to stuff the foot. And because it can be a bit gappy, the foot, if you put stuffing in there, you might be able to see it. I would actually suggest that you just use a little bit of orange yarn for this. So I've just cut a bit of my orange yarn. I'm just going to sort of scrunch it up like this, and then use my crochet hook to push this into the foot as best I can. And then at least if it pokes through a bit, it's the same colour as the foot, so it doesn't really matter. So you should have something that looks like this. Now for rounds 5 to 8, you're just going to continue single crocheting all the way around, so 6 single crochets in each round. I'll meet you when you finish round 8, as then we'll just cut our yarn and then we need to sew the legs to the body. I've completed round 8, now I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to leave the leg part of the legs unstuffed, so this yellow part. If you want to add a bit of yellow yarn to stuff it, then you're more than welcome to, but I just like the way that it looks without adding the stuffing to that part. So now that I've got both of my legs, I'm going to sew these to the bottom of the body. I've sewn down one of the legs and I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you're just going to position this at the bottom of the body. Again, you can use some pins to keep it in place if you want to, but I'm just going to be whip stitching all the way around to sew the leg down. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it's been sewn down. And as with before, you can just weave your yarn tail through the body and then snip it, so you should have something that looks like this when you've got both of your legs sewn down. We're now going to move on to making the arms. I've made one of them, and let's do the other one together now. So you're going to need your yellow yarn for this. If you're making a different type of Dooziedug, so like the gleamy one and I think the uncommon one, you might need to use a different colour of yarn for the first round of the arm, and then switch to your main body colour after that. But it looks like the common version, the arm is all just one colour, so we're just going to do all of this in our yellow colour. And for round one, we're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets in a magic circle. Then for rounds 2 to 4, you're simply going to single crochet all the way around, so 4 single crochets in each round. I'll meet you at the end of round 4 as we'll then cut our yarn, and then we're going to sew the arms to the body. I finished round 4, this is what the arm looks like. Just going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail long enough for sewing, and come back when you've got 2 arms and we'll sew them to the body. I've sewn down this first arm, I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you want to position the arms about 1 round down from the bottom of the nose, and you want to position the arms 1 sort of either side of the nose. And I'm going to start off by doing 2 whip stitches along the top of the arm, so that's 1, and then that's going to be 2. Just check I'm still happy with the positioning at this point. And then I'm going to do a couple of whip stitches along each side of the arm as well. Then I'm going to move my yarn tail through the arm to get to the other side. And then sew down a couple of stitches here. And then just weave that yarn tail through the body. Then we can cut that afterwards. So that's what it looks like with both of the arms sewn down. Now we just need to do the tail and then we're done. I've gone ahead and made the tail because it's actually the exact same pattern as the ears. So just to remind you, that's round 1, 6 single crochets in a magic circle, then rounds 2 to 3 single crochet all the way around. The only difference is this time we're not going to flatten the piece like we did for the ears, we're just going to leave it as it is. And I'm personally not going to stuff this, but feel free to add some stuffing if you want to as well. Now we're going to sew this to the back of the body. As you can see, I've pinned the tail to the back of the body, and now I'm just going to whip stitch around it to sew it down. Okay, and now I'm just going to weave the yarn tail through the body. And then And that is the Dooziedug complete, so I'll show you a better angle of the finished product and that will be the end of the video. So this is what my finished Dooziedug looks like, and from the back. So this was quite a nice, simple and quick one to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!